Have you ever imagined what your life would be like with no payments? Probably not, because this is not a very popular idea in America. Creditcards.com tells us that at the end of 2009, 5.7 million credit cards were in circulation, and of those households with credit cards, the average balance was over $15,000.
Wow.
Numbers released by the Federal Reserve and posted on SaveWealth.com indicate that personal debt, which is credit cards, auto loans, consumer loans, reached an all-time high of $1.58 trillion in April of this year. Take a minute with me to imagine your life with zero debt. Picture yourself driving your car with no payments. Student loans gone. No worries about late fees or minimum payments. Imagine the freedom that would come if you owed no one. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way to live? Can you picture it? Today I'm going to talk to you about debt. I have some experience with debt. When I moved to Georgia 2 years ago, I had about $14,000 in debt and I had zero money in savings. Now I have no debt and I have about 6 months of expenses in my savings account. This was possible because of the sacrifices that I made and much focus and intensity. Today we will explore why debt is on the rise in America. We're going to try to understand the negative effects of debt, and we're going to discuss simple steps that you can take to become debt-free. Let's start by talking about the reasons that debt is so rampant in America today. There's two sides of personal finance, income and outgo. It's pretty simple. If your income is above your outgo, you're good. Otherwise, debt begins to accumulate. The New York Times wrote an article called Why Americans Must Keep Spending. It was based on government data from the period of 1973 to 2003, so a 30-year period. And it said that personal consumption expenditures increased at an annual percent of 3.2. Median household income increased at only 0.5%. So our spending has outpaced our wages. We also live in a culture where we try to keep up with the Joneses. Psychologist David Walsh wrote a book in 2007 called No, Why Kids Need to Hear It, and he says that we're raising our kids in a yes culture, where they believe they can get everything they want whenever they want it. He says this instant gratification does not lead to a pathway of resiliency and success. Juliet Score, who wrote a book in 98 called The Overspent American, Why We Want What We Don't Need, says that increased consumer debt is due to a competitive acquisition. She says a long time ago we used to compare ourselves to folks in our neighborhood, same school district, same economic group, but now with the increased media, the internet, all that kind of stuff, we're actually comparing ourselves to the upper class and trying to keep up with them. Now that I've talked to you about reasons that debt is so rampant, we're going to talk about the negative effects that come along with debt. The first is the significant cost of interest. The University of Nebraska put out some statistics, and they said that if you have a credit card balance of $8,000, 18% interest, and you try to just pay it off by monthly payments, you'll be paying on this card for over 25 years. The interest you'll pay is about $15,000, and by the time you're done, you'll have paid $23,400 to pay off the card. Creditcard.com said that the average APR, the interest rate on credit cards with balances in February of this year was over 15% interest. Debt robs you of your future. The 22nd proverb in the Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender, and this is so true. When you are in debt, you are enslaved. What if you want to quit your job to stay home with your kids, or pursue a lifelong dream, or volunteer full-time? Could you do it? The ball and chain of monthly payments robs you of your money. Instead of saving your money or earning interest, you are shelling out your money to many lenders. Now that we've talked about how debt can damage families and people, I'm going to try to explain some simple ways to get out of debt. First, you have to decide that you don't want to acquire any more debt. So get rid of your credit cards, or freeze them, or cut them up. Don't get new TVs on credit, things like that. You have to stop getting debt. Second important thing is to get on a written budget. Every month you should have a written budget where you have a game plan, what you're going to do with your money. You spend every dollar on paper, on purpose, before the month begins, so that you know where your money's going. And I swear when you do it, you're going to feel like you got a raise, because you're actually going to be telling your money what to do. The next three things are baby steps that I learned from Dave Ramsey. He's got a few books out, and he does a radio program. He calls them the baby steps, and there's actually 6 of them, but I'm going to talk about the first 3, which are actually getting yourself out of debt. The first one is just to save a small emergency fund, this just to get you by. So it's just $1,000. That's it. Just every extra money that you get, you put in the bank for $1,000. The second baby step is to pay off all your debt. So you pay any extra money that you come across, you pay off your debt. And the third one is to save 3 to 6 months expenses. So any extra money that you get, you put in the bank, you have it sitting there, it's liquid cash, and you don't touch it. It's just for emergencies. The other 3 steps, you can go to Dave Ramsey's website and see, and they're more about building wealth, retirement, and stuff like that. His website is www.daveramsey.com. Today we've discussed the prevalence of debt in America, the dangers of being in debt, and a few tips about how to get out. Although debt is a common household word, I hope this speech has alerted you to the importance of getting out of debt. I urge you to take the steps of becoming debt-free and living the life that you've always wanted to live.
Thank you.
Yay!